Are you in a point in your business at the moment or the work that you're doing, and you've got to choose a path? You've got to pick one thing that you can actually focus on. If you're needing a little bravery around this decision, I think my conversation with my guest today is going to tick that box for you. So stay tuned.
You're listening to The Brand Compass, conversations to navigate your way to building a brand fit for purpose and poised for success. Here's your host, Shelley Rosland.
Hello there, my friend, and welcome back if you're a returning listener. And if you are new to me or the show, I'm Shelley, your host on this conversational journey. This is where we have open and gentle conversations about the ways in which our personal brand meets the humans we serve. Today, we're adding to another conversation to my series where I talk to people from completely different fields of expertise who come on and share how they are faring, shaping a version of themselves that they are happy to share with the outside world and what that looks and feels like for them. Now, today, I'm bringing on a lady that will share her story to how she's doing the work that she does today. And she's now my second artist on the show. And you will remember our first one was Darren Eggleton. While Darren paints traditionally on canvases to go in people's homes, my guest today is a very different type of artist. She paints walls. Now, before you think decorator, think rather walls of businesses, offices, hospitals, or even public art for councils. So let me give you a bit of an introduction to her and we'll jump straight into our conversation today. Sarah Hodgkins is an award-winning professional mural artist. She's been creating unique wall murals since 2005, completing more than 700 murals, signs, and faux finishes in various styles on a multitude of different surfaces. In a nutshell, she creates these large-scale artworks that do more than decorate. They elevate environments, evoke emotion, and honor identity. Her work spans public buildings, healthcare and educational settings, retail establishments, offices, and sometimes homes. She blends visual storytelling with human connection and immersive design. Sarah says she's passionate about using her art to foster belonging, spark dialogue, and transform everyday spaces into places of meaning. Outside of work, she enjoys traveling, playing tennis, yoga, and running. And she's based in Northamptonshire, lives with her husband, Chris, and his mum to two grown-ups. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, Shelley.
Hello.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today.
Oh, been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It has. I don't know how long we've been talking about this, but quite a long time now.
Yeah, right. So what I want is for us to kick off is maybe for you to talk a little bit about how did you come to pick murals as your creative focus? Because it's quite an unusual pathway for an artist to choose because of the sheer scale, right, and the logistics of it. And I think there's people listening who may be looking at what they're doing at the moment in their work, and they're still trying to find the courage to kind of pick one thing or something to focus on. And you've got a great story around this. Would you mind sharing it with us to give us some foundation for today?
Of course, absolutely. Well, I think I come at mural artistry from a different angle from most mural artists. So I'm a trained interior designer. That's how I started. And I spent most of the second half of the 1980s interior designing show homes, offices, and some very nice homes for some very wealthy people. And as part of that work, one of my clients wanted a mural painting in his son's room. I didn't really know anything about murals at that particular point. I found these two guys who were based up in Leicester, and I commissioned them to paint the mural for my client. And it was one of those moments in life, and we've all had them. I watched these two guys paint this mural and I was like, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. I want to do that. That's really where it started. And I worked with them a little bit, and I learned a little bit about the business and started to do a few bits and bobs, but nothing major at that point. But what it means is that I've come to mural artistry from an interior design perspective, whereas most mural artists come from an artist perspective.
Background, yeah.
And that gives me a very unique viewpoint when it comes to designing murals, because I think about the whole space. I think about who's using the space, how they're using the space, why they're using the space. So for me, it's not just reproducing a picture onto a wall. Frankly, anybody can do that. It's about producing something that works with the people, with the space, with when and how it's being used. So it works on all levels. And I believe that that is probably one of the main reasons I've been as successful as I have.
And I think before people think that you've been doing this since the beginning of time, you have not, because that interior design bit, like you said, was like, yeah, it feels like it because it's 20 years now, but you know, you've lived many lifetimes.
21 next month.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, you had some ups and downs where basically the recession had ended up having that business go out of business. And you're like, oh, now I've got to find, you know, so you actually have jumped careers as well. And then you only really, after having your kids and decided, oh, I can't actually juggle this whole commuting to London and working and trying to be a mum and balance my whole sanity, you ended up almost circling back, and then old clients started to find you, didn't you? But there was this element, though, where you had to have those old clients did find you, and you started to do some of those little interior design jobs and projects and murals and that. But then you ended up asking someone for some advice, didn't you? Tell us about that.
I did, yes. So, as you rightly say, I started my first business in 1989. Oh my God, 1989. So that was the first. I know. I really am that old. And that was great initially. And then the recession of the early 90s hit, killed that business stone dead. And I actually went into sales and marketing. I was in sales and marketing for 15 years. And it wasn't really till I went and had kids of my own, as you rightly say, found I couldn't do the current role I had with 2 young kids, that I went back to interior design. And initially, partly because of the circles in which I was moving, I decided to set up as an interior designer for children's spaces. And I felt that was a nice little niche that felt coherent with what I was, you know, dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
But what happened was, all my old clients started to come back to me, and I got involved in kitchens and breakfast rooms and hall stairs and landings and sitting rooms and dining rooms. And the clients that I was doing children's spaces for were like, oh my God, you've done such a great job of little Johnny's room.
Do this
Can you
room.
do our dining room? Can you do this? And so I just found myself sucked back into this world that, to be honest, I'd done 20 years previously. And because of the internet, interior design had changed, and I didn't really like those changes. And I suddenly realised this is not what I want to do. If this job is going to be taking me away from my children, it needs to be doing more than it's doing now. This is not ticking the boxes for me. And that's when I asked a consultant to look at my business for me. And basically, long story short, she said, focus on the murals. We're going into recession. So this was about 2007. We're going into recession. Niche businesses are the ones that are going to survive. It's what you enjoy. It's the most profitable part of your business. I think you should just do that. And it was scary. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. It was very scary.
Very brave.
But I thought, do you know what? Let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. And at that point, 100% of my work was kids stuff. Now I probably do 1 or 2 a year.
Special friends only.
Special friends only.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's really brave to just pick one, because your husband wasn't keen, was he? He was like, oh,
I think that's an understatement. Yes. I had to peel him off the ceiling when I told him what I was doing. But he will say now it is the best decision.
The best move. Yeah.
Because you know yourself, once you focus on a niche, once you focus on something very precise, it makes marketing, branding,
so much easier.
all of those things so much easier.
Yeah, and you know exactly who you're speaking to. You're not trying to talk to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And I just found that there were so many more markets for what I was doing.
You hadn't even thought of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So before we get into personal brand, which is what I do want to get into, I think if people haven't met mural artists, or they haven't actually thought about what goes into these large-scale projects, they wouldn't have thought about this element that actually drives a lot of your motivation for doing some of your big serious projects, right? And there's a story you shared with me in the prep conversation that really stuck with me. And I feel like it demonstrates the impact of art that can't be measured. So, when people go, what's the benefit of me having this mural? And a lot of knowledge workers and subject matter experts also do struggle to articulate what's that marketable value when actually sometimes these things are invisible, to the naked eye. So would you mind sharing the story, the little autistic boy?
Yeah, I mean, that is just one story out
Yeah,
of
exactly. So
a
to
whole
the
heap.
listeners,
But
I cried in the story.
Yeah. I was asked to paint initially probably just 2 or 3. I can't remember how many it was initially. 2 or 3 murals in a primary school in Milton Keynes. Not a special school, so a mainstream primary school. And we did an undersea one, we did a lion, and we did a kangaroo off the top of my head. Anyway, I did these 3 murals and off I toddled, and I got an email from a one-to-one carer who was working with a severely autistic boy in the school. And she said to me, the work that you have done has made an enormous difference to how I teach this boy. Anyway, I ended up going into the school and meeting her and him. And it turned out that the work had helped her to teach him. So apparently he was struggling to even focus on a large book, whereas sitting in front of a big wall, he could actually focus on it. And she said, we've taught him colours, numbers, greater than, smaller than, all of those things from this one undersea mural that we'd done. She said, we used to lose about a week or 2 at the beginning of every half term because he would forget where he was in that sort of time they'd had off. And she said, we now come in and he loves the kangaroo and he loves the lion, and they just take him around all the murals and they just spend 10-15 minutes just talking about what he's seeing. He strokes the lion and it just helps him to remind him where he is. And she said, we've actually gained at least a week of teaching every half term back by just being able to do that. And the third thing was that because he was obsessed with this lion, she said, if we feel he's going to go into, a tantrum, I suppose, she said, if we can get him to the lion, we can
quick enough.
Yeah. She said, and it's a bit like, if we can get him to the lion quick enough, we can calm him down before he moves off. These murals weren't even designed to do that because I didn't even know of this child's existence. So it just goes to show that if you put the thought into the mural before it's even painted, then the results can be far, far wider reaching than you would ever possibly imagine.
Oh, wow, man. I think it's good for people listening to hear that, because sometimes when you're incredibly proficient at your craft, you're not always conscious of how deeply your skill and your talent actually makes a difference to the outcome of a project, or for a client that they're working with. And I think for you to get feedback like that, because it's so hard to get feedback, it's invaluable. And that reminds you how really good you are at what you do. And it's not just about that 20 plus years that you've put in, but it's also all of these other invisible skills that are not always front and center and easy to articulate, isn't it?
Exactly.
Listening, good questions.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many stories of people just emailing me and saying, your mural has changed my life. Your mural, I change my route to work every day so that I can see the mural because it makes me feel happy in the mornings.
Oh,
Just, and
you're Tinkerbell. You're sprinkling fairy dust.
with a paintbrush.
With a paintbrush. A very big paintbrush. Oh, gosh. Right. Okay. So I think for all of our listeners, I think what we could probably take as a cue from you is maybe to just pay a bit more attention to what it is that we actually put into every little step of our approach in gaining a new client, or in the briefing. You must be incredibly detailed in your briefing, and in working towards the objective of what the actual project is or what the client's looking for, isn't it?
Exactly. I ask lots of questions about what they want to achieve, what's the outcome of, what they want the outcome to be. And I try and make things work on lots of different levels, because as I say, if you just want someone to paint a picture of that you've got on a wall, that's not me. That's not what I'm here to do.
Well, you're not a decorator.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm here to make sure that you create a space that works for you, that actually does something for you, for the people using the space, for the building, for the company, whatever it happens to be. That's where I come in.
The fairy dust. All right. So let's move on to some of the personal brand aspects that I wanted to get into. So over your career, you've worked for other people. You've, developed your talent. You've created your own businesses. You've attracted clients. You've had to build a really strong reputation, right? So I'd like to know how much you think that the you part of that equation was at the heart of how you managed to achieve what you did. So I guess, how would you describe personal brand, really?
I think for me, it's really interesting. So when we had our conversation, I don't think about personal brand day to day, even though I'm a business owner and have been for 21 years. It's not something I think about every day. And after our conversation, I was like, why am I not thinking about that? Why is this not something I'm thinking about all the time? And I think it's because, I'm an old woman, let's be honest about this. I'm very confident in who I am, what I'm about. My morals, my values are absolutely set in stone. And so I just do what I do. And I don't think about it too much. I often get people saying to me, "Oh God, Sarah, you're wearing yellow. It's like you're all sort of coordinated." And it's just like, this is just
kind of happens.
It's what I do. I'm not going out there consciously thinking, "Oh, I need to do this and I need to do this." It is who I am. And I think in the early days, I probably did try to, certainly when I took that move in 2007 to focus on murals, I was like, right, I need to start and be a bit more corporate. I'm going to be talking to companies, to bigger organisations. I need to start being a bit more corporate. And I did try to be a bit more formal, I think, for a while. But it's not me.
Felt uncomfortable.
Not who I am. And I think I slowly slipped back into being me. And I think if you are who you are and you present who you are in a simple, unashamed way, your personal brand will just bubble to the surface. And maybe that's why I don't think about it that much, because it's kind of just there.
Part of what you do. Yeah. And I think that's true. I think over time, and with a lot of people I've spoken to anyway about the subject, is actually you are doing a lot of the key things of what you would describe as a personal brand. I think it's more for, as you're coming up as a young professional, perhaps, as you almost have to work a little bit harder, because you've already said your values and your principles are already quite embedded. While you're in your 20s and 30s, you're still kind of wrapping your head around what you like to do, all those kinds of things and what's important to you. So possibly, but everybody comes through at a different stage of their lives. I've spoken to 60-year-olds who actually just have no clue. So I think it's almost like not age related. I think it is person related in terms of how much you've done, how much you've had to go through, how many life chapters you've had to overcome. I think you learn those different building blocks, don't you, to what actually makes you you.
Definitely. No, I do agree with that. And I think, if I look back to my first business, I didn't really know who I was. I was young. I was very influenced by the people around me.
For sure.
And I think I struggled to kind of get my personality out. And it wasn't really till I was probably in my 30s that I started to think a little bit more about what I wanted. And there's not a particular moment that happened. I think that kind of evolved maybe over a longish period of time. And now, I don't make any apologies for who I am. I know I'm not perfect. I swear too much, and I'm the first person that drops the F-bomb in front of clients. Do you know what? It's just who I am. And I think if I attract a lot of people who are very, very similar to me. That's probably not a
but that's a good thing, because you've got synergy, don't you? You can't pretend to be anything else. You'd be stressed.
Yeah, no, exactly. A lot of my clients are older. A lot of my clients are interested in art, interested in sport. So that, you know, there's a lot of synergies. Not everybody. I mean, I've got people who I'm nothing like them at all. But there is a lot of clients who I would say have ended up becoming friends for obvious reasons. Because,
well, I think that's resonance again, and this is how important it is, trying to be as close to yourself as possible when you are working, because you will resonate quicker and connect easier
definitely
with people and attract people that you can actually gel with, because there's nothing harder than trying to bring on a client that they don't understand you like just can't, you know what I mean?
And I think,
So I think
especially with something personal like this, you know, what I do is actually it's a very personal service. And I think if you're not true to yourself and not true with your client, I just don't think you're going to get a good result. It's just never going to happen. Well, I mean, that's what I think anyway.
So a level from that as well, I'd like to know what your definition is of a subject matter expert, because I specialize in working with people that are, you know, all of their value and their marketable expertise, if you like, is actually all locked up in their brain. And generally, you know, I did a whole episode on this in order to try and extricate what I think a subject matter expert is. But I'd be interested to know what you think, and what is a good subject matter expert for you?
It's quite interesting. I meet a lot of artists who think they can be mural artists. And when you start talking to people, you realise that they are good at that painting bit. They might even be good at the painting big bit. But they're not good at all the stuff that we've been talking about that has to go on in the background. I think what makes a good expert in any subject is someone that has seen all the different possibilities, or as many as they can, all the different possibilities that can feed into a situation. I could tell you umpteen stories where clients have come to me, professional clients. I mean, I've worked with interior designers who came to me and said, right, can we design this mural for this ceiling? And they sent me pictures of the ceiling, the mural. And then they came back, and I turned up on site with 3 days, one set of scaffolding that was going at the end of the week. And this ceiling, I think there was supposed to be five lights, a couple of speakers and something like that. There was like 25 lights. Here's how many speakers, smoke alarm, fire alarm, and the mural.
Not a ceiling for the mural at all.
It's not enough ceiling to put it on. And the interior designers were young, they were panicking, they were like, oh my God, we've only got the scaffolding here. So it was a real problem situation. And I think anybody who wasn't an expert in their field would have also panicked, because they were exuding panic. Yeah. And I'm like, no, we can make this work.
Let's see what we got. What are we going to do?
Yeah, exactly. What have we got? What can we not change? Right, we've got the colours. We know these are going to go. We know the general feeling we want to get. Let's take a picture. Let's draw on the picture, and let's make this work. And we did. And the client was happy, and the interior designers were happy, and the scaffolding went at the end of the week, and it didn't matter. So I think somebody who is an expert will not panic in those difficult situations. They will have enough experience to be able to find a solution that works for all parties. It might not be the solution that was originally anticipated, but it's a solution and it will work.
So it's not only the depth of knowledge, it's more the length of time that you've been an expert, because you've been thrown lots of different scenarios at you. You know how to go, all right then, nothing's going to be perfect. Let's now adjust. Let's be flexible. Let's be adaptable.
But again, that is part of my personality. I'm very flexible. I'm very adaptable. I'm not somebody that worries about things, turning up and things not being, where they should be. Yeah. Trust me, in my business, that happens all the time. So I
suppose anybody looking to get into this field needs to realise that needs to be one of their behaviour characteristics.
Massively. Yeah, massively. Nothing ever is how you imagine.
Goes
I think
according
anybody
to
who's involved in any kind of property development
realizes this.
realizes this. Things never ever go where you want. Ceilings are always higher, lower, furniture sticks out further. Honestly, the list goes on and on. Windows are bigger, smaller. It's just, you know, it never is how you think it's going to be. So you have to be adaptable. And this is why these people that, you know, try and do murals from projectors and things like that. I don't know how on earth they do that, by the way. It's just like, but if you turn up on site and you can't even get the projector far enough back,
What are you going to do then?
what are you going to do then? I mean,
Oh, dear.
you know.
All right, so it's very human-based business. So let's walk on to my like sticky subject I wanted to throw at you today.
Go on.
Because it's really high on my consciousness at the moment, and for a lot of people in the marketing and creative field, right? So, because as humans, we're in this little weird chapter, right, of evolution where we got this fast advancing technology, you know, and this is kind of married with all of this uncertainty we've got going on around, you know, global economy and politics, and how all the systems of how we thought things used to go for generations have all kind of falling apart at the seams a bit. I'm just curious what your thinking is around where do you think this amount of technological change, you know, across the board, like where do you think it's heading to, or what are your feelings around it? What are you seeing in your field, at least?
So I think there's two parts to it. I think, funny enough, I've just been having that conversation with a couple of friends this morning. AI generally, I think it's pretty shit. I think it can be used for regurgitating information. It can be good for checking information, and that's certainly how I use AI. Good old chat GPT and so forth, for just checking, I don't know, that things read right. You know, if I've done a tender document, for instance, just to make sure that I haven't repeated myself, because I do tend to do that a little bit.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, all of that. Make sure I've covered all the points off. So I use it for that. From a design point of view, it's awful. It's dreadful. You cannot design with AI. It's not nuanced enough.
Is that about tools though? Have you found like specific, like within Adobe? I know they got Firefly.
Rubbish.
Okay.
Absolutely rubbish. I think if you are trying to design a cartoon or maybe animation,
Something easy.
that seems to be better serviced by some of these AI tools. But for the sort of thing that I do, useless. I mean,
There's a lot of thinking that goes involved though with your drawings. There's a lot of thinking that goes involved in what you're designing though, so it can't really...
I've used it occasionally for a very specific bit, if you like. And even then, by the time you've come up with a prompt that gives you anything close to what you're looking for, you might as well have drawn it, if I'm honest, because it takes a similar amount of time. So I think it's got a long, long way to go before it's of any use to me in terms of designing or anything like that. However, what is of interest to me is AR, augmented reality. So this is, in fact, I'm working on an augmented reality project at the moment, or potentially, then it hasn't been signed off yet, but my first one hopefully will be live by the end of the year.
Ah, cool.
And
that's half and half, isn't it? It's like virtual.
Yes. So this is where a mural can be brought to life.
Nice.
You put a QR code on the mural. So as passers-by can literally
use their phone
click on the QR code and then hold their phone up to the mural, and it will basically come to life.
Out. That's cool.
Leaves will come off trees. The one I'm looking at has got a car in it. The car will start up. Smoke will come.
That makes nice compliment to your work. Yeah.
Exactly. Nice. That I get. That is of interest. That is enhancing. Again, I think the technology still has quite a long way to go yet, but what I've seen so far, that is actually really interesting. And the thought of being able to design murals that are going to come alive is of huge interest to me.
No, brilliant. I think what's nice is if we can find this nice way where we're working with the technology and it's not an us and them situation. You know, let's not get into a Terminator situation. I think it's more about how, because there are a lot of things that have just taken us forever to do as humans. And actually, if it can help you on certain things and leveraging some of that drudge work, I'm not against that. That's for sure.
Me neither. And I think, like most business owners, I've been trying to get it to help me to do the stuff that I don't particularly like doing, a bit quicker, a bit faster. Whether it makes it better, I'm not sure.
I think it needs time. We need the dust to settle.
Time. Yeah, I think it needs time, and we're a long way away from it really giving top class results. Yeah, it's still a bit. I don't know. You can tell when something's been written by AI. I think anyway.
Yeah, you can. It's just a bit flooded at the moment. I think if we just wait for the dust to settle, but let's circle back to being human again. Right.
I agree.
So.
A computer cannot do my job. A computer cannot hold a paintbrush in its hand. And
so let's talk about your genius zone. So when you're in that zone where time is just disappearing because it's not with AI, it's with you as a human, you're doing something. So this is like when you're in this kind of ventral vagal situation where, you're either really calm and relaxed and time's just disappearing, or you're really energized and excited. What does that look and feel like for you? And what are you actually doing when that's going on?
Normally painting is the very short answer to
actually
that.
In the zone of painting.
In the zone, yeah. And it's it's a bit of a standing joke that I will say to my husband, I'll be half an hour. I just want to do a bit more.
And then he just giggles in his hand and go, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And he'll be like, yeah, I'll see you in about 3 hours. And you're like, no, I will. I'll be half an hour. And literally, I get into it and time just goes.
How do you feel when that's going on?
I don't even think about it. It's not until I stop and stand back and I'll go, oh, okay, yeah, that's looking good, And I just get into the zone. I forget what time it is. I don't answer my phone, anything like that. And it is a flow state. And
nice.
It doesn't always happen, I sometimes get on site and I'm like, I've not got into that flow state.
You really got to push yourself, yeah.
I've had to push myself. And that could be umpteen reasons. Maybe, I don't know, I didn't sleep very well the night before.
Energy, yeah.
I'm hungry, or I don't know, whatever it happens to be. But if I get into that zone, it's gone. It's absolutely gone. And I have the radio on when I'm on site during the day, just so I can keep track of time. Because
when the news comes on at 5 p.m, you should have been out of there.
I know. When Sarah Cox comes on at 4 o'clock, it is 4 o'clock. And so I've probably only got an hour, maybe hour and a half before I need to start and think about going home. So I use it as a subconscious
timekeeper.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
exactly.
Very good. Oh, we've come to the end of our time already, Sarah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. I hope that everybody will kind of really look at murals differently now. So when they drive, when they drive past one or they see one inside a building that they're in, because I don't think people think much about it. Hopefully they'll just pay more attention now. Whereas I get a bit more affected when I'm in an environment and I look at the walls, and if someone's put so much attention in, I feel like I have to take a photo and I have to look at it.
This is it. I mean, there's been a lot of studies to show that if something's hand painted, people will take a picture or a selfie in front of it. Whereas if something's printed, they don't even take any notice.
No. I think your work also does this extra level of adding the meaning, into the kinds of, institutions, organizations or communities where humans are in, right? And I think it's very emotive work, and you're really a brilliant expert in your field. So if anybody listening today would like to learn more about you or your work, where can they find you?
So the website's the best place, sharpensdesigns.co.uk. There's lots of information on there, galleries, a bit about me, all sorts, and the types of work that we do. And there's also lots of little projects that you can go and have a little look at and actually get behind some of the projects that I've done and how they've come about and the difference that they've made to the clients that I have. So
and you're also on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn as Sarah Hodgkins, Instagram and Facebook as Charlotte Designs Mural Artist.
And why did we name it Charlotte?
It's my daughter's name.
There we go. All right, I'll pop all of those in the show notes. Thanks again for your time today, Sarah.
Nice to speak to you. Take care.
Thank you. And that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. So what did you think about that? Did you realize what goes into these large-scale artworks? Yeah, me neither. Not until I spoke to Sarah and heard all about these stories, right? So learn from this. People will not be terribly clear about what goes into your work either. So I'm going to walk away from this conversation with a refreshed need to go back again with a bird's eye view and look at all the little moving parts of what it is that I do, and maybe to just chat a bit more about those in my one-to-ones and in my content as well. So your invisible value is just lying, like we talked about, this magic fairy dust. It's lying like these mini layers between everything that you're doing. And I think I loved the part about Sarah's backstory was the element where she had to, educate herself along with working alongside other people on how to do this specific mural work. Because when she started out, there was no one actually teaching this. She studied interior design. Like when I was at university, what I eventually went into, social media, didn't actually exist. All I knew is that I enjoyed writing, and I just didn't know how that was going to play out. So I think this is more relevant for us as humans today than ever. So basically what we're taking from Sarah's stories here is we need to actually follow our gut. What interests us? And just go with it. Even if the outcome or the output is a little hard to grapple the shape of yet. And for all you up and coming young professionals, having a portfolio career instead of one straight path is pretty much going to be the norm now. We'd be silly to wait till our 60s to actually create a portfolio career only at that point. And we know now that the pandemic, as well as the speed of the artificial intelligence, has basically just completely tip-ended and disrupted our belief system of how things have to be done, what work looks like, how people buy, and what do people really want. After speaking with Sarah, I feel even more so that our human voice and our creativity is still valuable and important. And it's up to us to prioritize doubling down on our humanity. Listen to our gut instinct and keep pushing the boundaries for business leaders, communities, and governments to put ethical boundaries in place for which part of our humanity AI can actually infringe on. So who do you know that could do with listening to Sarah's story in our conversation today? Share this with one of your friends. Go on, you know you want to. Until next time, my friend, stay strong, believe you have value, and make good brand decisions.
Thank you for listening to The Brand Compass. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your entrepreneurial friends and help them make good brand decisions. Until next time, let's keep the conversation going at 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗘𝗘𝗟𝗟.